And here we are, spawning in the bottom left. In the blue for the Afrika Freaks. He's Trap. And his opponent's in the upper right. In the red, the little corporal from Team Liquid. He's CLEM. And you know what's funny? CLEM, he's a great player. Absolutely, he's a great, great player. But he has made his name over the last 6 months on his transcendent, his absolutely transcendent TVZ play. And that makes a lot of sense. He has to, on the regular, on ladder, and in online tournaments, has to play against, arguably, the two greatest Zerg players to have ever touched the game. At the very least, the two greatest Zerg players in the game right now, in Raynor and Cyril. And when you have to play against Raynor and Cyril on a daily basis, that kind of helps your TVZ get pretty good. So, that is what he has made his name on, but we're going to have to see where we go from here, because his TVT, he appears to have solved that demon. He has had some really, really good TVT results over the last several weeks, and he really seems to have solved that matchup just a little. So with that being said, he has solved his TVT, and his TVP, again, he has some good Protoss players to play against in Europe. But are they at the level of Trap? Are they at the level of stats? I'm not so sure. I'm excited to see exactly what CLEM can bring to the table here in this game number 1, in this entire series, playing against the player who has the historically highest PVT win rate of any Protoss player currently playing. I actually believe maybe highest overall. He had some sort of insane TVP win rate this year. I think it was like 80%, at least through the GSL. So Trap is just inhuman in this matchup. And CLEM, this has been a bit of a weakness for him. It was not the weakness to the same level as TVT, but I almost wonder whether CLEM, he's committed so much to fixing his TVT, and it is obviously fixed. He has looked really good against Bunny, against Innovation, against all these Korean Terrans that he has had the chance to play against in this series. And I wonder, but I have seen less of his TVP. I have seen less of exactly what he's interested in doing when he is playing against such a superlative Protoss player. As we do have Trap going on in for the Blink opener that has become so popular in this matchup over the last year. And the question we need to ask ourselves, the question we're looking at in this game, is what is the move here? Is this 2-gate blink where you be as defensive as possible? You maybe move across the map with a couple of stalkers, but the whole goal here is to get up your third base really quickly. And actually, hold that thought. This is not going to be the blink build that I thought it was. This is the other option. If you opt to not go for blink, this is going to be DTs coming on in here in this game number 1. Most likely 3-gate DT. So there's our second gateway on the way here. And with the Dark Shrine coming on in, we're going to have to see whether CLEM is prepared. It does look like there is a Tech Lab on the way, so I believe it looks like he may be going for a Raven in this game. We'll have to see in a second. That being said, though, even if you don't have a Raven, even if you are just relying on scans, I mean, with 2 orbitals, it's very possible to defend the DTs. And actually, no, there is no... This is just 3 racks. I'm sorry. This is CLEM going for something a little bit crazy here in this game number 1. This is a build that to my mind at least, that I think of alive. When he was really making his resurgence at the start of Legacy of the Void. This is something he was doing a lot of against every race. He was just doing 3 quick barracks into whatever he wanted to do, into maybe a little bit more of a macro focus style, but it was just 3 quick barracks, kind of this stim combat shield, maybe a concussive shell, but stim combat shield timing. And Clemon, unfortunately for him, he's moving out on the map right now, right as Trap is moving on in with his 3 Dark Templar. Trap's entire army, yes, is on Clem's side of the map, but Clem, most of his army, is on Trap's side of the map. He has, it looks like, 2 scans, maybe 3. So now we will see the Marines. They will go and they will attempt to target down this War Prism, but, well, there are DTs here. 5, 6 workers are going down, and now Clem has to get something done here. Where does he spend his scans? That is the big question. This is a full wall off. DTs have been warped in. 11 workers have gone down. Oh no, CLEM. He's just dying here in this game number 1. He will stim on in into the natural and see what he can get done. But 20 of his workers have gone down, and he needs to make extremely equalizing damage here in this game to have a shot at it. And I'm just not convinced he has the army. Not with those DTs being warped in. CLEM's army, it's falling apart. Yes, he got 11 workers. Yes, that's nice. In a normal game, I'd say good job, CLEM. You're in a decent spot. But he lost 20. And actually, he's going to get himself, not supply block, at least he's out of 86 supply, but he will lose that supply depot as well. And with that, the low ground, high ground wall. And when you lose the low ground, high ground wall, suddenly these Dark Templars get a lot more scary. So now DT's going to run on in. We will have that scan, and CLEM is going to try to target this down, but will be unsuccessful. And now CLEM functionally mining off of one base. It's in a little bit of a problematic situation here, as this DT will show up. And there's just no detection. CLEM really does not want to spend these scans, by the way. You got to remember, he lost 20 workers. Every scan that he spends is 500 or more minerals that he is missing out on. So yes, would you rather spend the scan than lose another N workers? Absolutely. But yeah, it's just going to be GG. Trap putting CLEM in a chokehold here in this game number 1. And there we go. Trap going for the DT play, perfectly countering the build that CLEM decided to go for. And you know, sometimes it don't just be like that, but it do. As CLEM, he goes for this really cool 3 barracks stim timing that is really powerful in the right hands. But unfortunately for our players here, unfortunately for CLEM, Trap went for the build that pretty much hard counters exactly what he was going for. So now, Trap's got a 1-0 lead. We're going to have to see what CLEM is going to have dialed up for us here in game number 2. Let's go. Here we are, spawning in the upper left, in the red for Team Liquid. Give it up for CLEM. And in the bottom right, in the blue, for the Afrika Freaks, the champion of the GSL Super Tournament, he's Trap. And Trap taking that wonderful, wonderful 1-0 lead, doing a really good job of making sure that he gets exactly what he wants out of the map. Really, really good build choice in game number 1. You got to assume that CLEM is going to see this as an underdog matchup for him. You got to assume that CLEM's going to look at Trap and says, wow, Trap is incredibly terrifying. I maybe need to do something a little bit sneaky here in this game number 1. Maybe find myself a free map, do something a little bit weird, catch Trap off guard, and go from there. So Trap, realizing that is the case, is going for one of the better offensive defensive builds that he could go for. Where DTs, they can absolutely catch your opponent off guard, especially if you're going for something like that 2 base, 3 racks, functionally almost an all-in that CLEM went for. And especially consider, you know, with the lack of scans that pressure builds like that tend to have, because it's only 2 orbitals, you are trying to spend every mule possible just to make sure that you have the economy you need to really hit this crisp timing. Well, DTs are great offensively and defensively at that point, as now we do have Trap doing what he can to block this command center. But no, CLEM will be able to get that successfully down on location. And now CLEM will get the scout off. He says, okay, there's a Nexus on the way. There's a Cybercore on the way. I see what's happening here. No big deal. I know what's up. And CLEM, he's opting to not go for that cheeky build we saw in game number 1. There's a factory on the way. It's not 3 barracks before factory, not 3 barracks before starport. And CLEM, he's just going into what is most likely going to be a more standard game. Now, that does not mean that CLEM is not going to hit a 6-minute timing. That does not mean he will not forego his 3rd command center for a while. That does not mean that Trap is not going to go into something that forces CLEM to do things weird once again, as now the Marine will go down. This probe will be able to escape, though. Probes are just slightly faster than Marines, especially when you're trying to stutter step. That stutter part of it, even if Oh, really nice. This is a really nice adept timing, too. So this command center will not go down for quite a bit. And CLEM, he went for one Marine into a reactor, into lifting the barracks and getting the factory down. And what this means is this command center is not going to finish for quite a while. But CLEM, we talked about things. We said, oh, he's going to do something a little bit more standard. And that was true for a brief moment. He did open 1-1-1 technically, although the third one is not in his base. He did open a pseudo 1-1-1 here, as now the Marines will go on in. The Hellions will keep firing away, and CLEM really does not want to lose this Hellion. He wants to be able to make sure that he has these 3 Hellions first and foremost, but he will lose that. And now we do have the Hellions getting ready to move their way across the map here. 2 more Hellions on the way. This will be a quad Hellion drop coming on in for the Little Corporal, as he's just looking to get probe damage. Of course, it is 3 Hellions that kill a single probe, or multiple probes, because that's how Splash works. So you get 4, so even when you lose one... Actually, no, CLEM, he's just going to be happy with 3 here. He did, of course, build 4, but, well, he lost one of them in the defense, so, you know, that's kind of how that works. CLEM just going to be very happy with the fact that he will have these 3 Hellions. He's going to go on in and try to just get a lot of probe damage done. Now, most of Trap's defensive options were heading on to the other side of the map. That being said, though, it looks like the Oracle has found its way home. Trap, well, he looks like he's a little suspicious of something here. As now the probes, or the Hellions, they will fire away here. As notice this, look, CLEM is picking up these Hellions and dropping them, trying to make sure that the pulsar beam from this Oracle does not get the damage it's looking for. So yes, 1 Hellion will go down, but the other 2, they will stay alive for the moment. One of these is incredibly damaged, though, but you got to remember, the Oracle has run out of energy at this point. The pulsar beam is just about to run out. That being said, though, with these 2 Hellions, this is not going to get a whole lot done. 7 workers is just about the bare minimum that CLEM is looking for. Ideally, he would get 8, but 7's kind of acceptable. So now, with these Phoenix running across the map here, with the Marines, with the Cyclone, they really should not be able to get too much done for the moment. But what they are doing is they are providing a little bit of distraction. They are maybe forcing... Actually, CLEM is going to move out on the map here. Trap has a lot of Phoenix. Already up to 4. And he will go up to 5. So this is the distraction I was talking about. CLEM is moving across the map now, and Trap says, oh, hey, your army's on the map. That means you don't have anything in your mineral line. Let's just eviscerate your mineral line. And once again, CLEM has been forced to go all in this game. But he does have 2 Cyclones here. Cyclones are incredibly powerful units, as he will go do what he can to try to just target these the pylon down, which will depower 2 gateways, and the Cyber, which means is actually a really powerful option. But now the Adepts are going to shade on in. Adepts do so good against pretty much everything that CLEM has. The Adepts will shade on in. Phoenix will, of course, lift these Cyclones, kill off the Cyclones here. The Adepts cleaning up everything, and CLEM is in terrible, dire straits in this game number 2. He lost a bunch of workers, although when we look at worker counts, it's not terrible. Surprisingly enough, it's not all that bad, as Trap and CLEM, they're even on worker counts. But that is not the story of this game. The story of this game is the fact that CLEM has half the army supply of his opponent, and the army that Trap has are just really good against the army that CLEM has here. As now the Phoenix will run on and just lift up all the Marines that the Adepts have not been able to kill, and we're just going to start to see this entire mineral line die in spades here. 7 workers do go down, and look how... Wow, he's only going to get 8. And you might say, wow, you know what, Beo, BeoMulf, that's still a lot, and you would be correct. But look at how low so many of these SCVs are. A couple more volleys. The Adepts survive a little bit longer. And that is just, that's going from really good damage to catastrophic damage in this game number 2. CLEM, he will stay alive. He will clean up the army. He will lose 9 workers, but he's still not in a terrible position in the context of this game. Now, though, the damage is starting to snowball here as 4 more workers will go down. We would have seen more, but Trap, realistically, he ran out of energy on his Phoenix. That is one of the downsides of Phoenix. They can do lots of damage really quickly, but they only have so much lifting energy. And this is really interesting from Trap. Notice that he is going for Adept Glaives here in this game number 2. No blink, no charge, Adept Glaives. And I guess this is actually because it looks like he wants to go for just a really, really big Adept timing. 6 gates on the way, adding on to the 3 that he already has. And this is just going to be a really big Phoenix Glaive Adept push that he's going to look to hit off of 2.5 bases, which is a really interesting decision. Or I guess functionally off of 3 bases. He is continuing to probe up. But again, this is a really interesting decision. This is not something you see all that often. Because, well, Glaives, they have, or Adepts, they have their timing. They have the period of the game where they are really, really good. As now the Phoenix are just going to dive in, not get a whole lot, but they will knock off a couple of Marines. And anything that they can get, of course, is good damage as long as they don't die. This Oracle, though, does have to be a little bit careful. There we go. Good. There we go. It's just going to get the reveal. And now CLEM, he's preparing for a push of his own. He has 2 tanks. He has a Cyclone. He has a lot of Marines. +1 is done. Stim is done. Combat Shields will be done eventually. And now Charge is on the way. But we do have a lot of Glaive Adepts shading onto the other side of the map here. So that means the majority... This CLEM's army right here, which is... Yes, it's similar enough to the army supply. Okay, the Oracle will go down. Really nice pickoff from there from CLEM. The army supply of CLEM... or of Trap, which is roughly even, is at the defensive position, is really not close at all. That being said, though, this run-by of these Adepts is going to be really good. Of course, they do have Glaives, so they will just shred everything in this mineral line. But actually, you know what? Yeah, okay, we're going to see 7 workers go down. Not even, just 6. And once again, a nice hold from CLEM, but we got to look at this in the bigger picture. CLEM, he's on 40 workers. CLEM, he does not have a 3rd command center. He has to make this push happen. And the longer that Trap is able to sandbag, the longer that Trap is able to just sit here and say, no, CLEM, you don't get to move out. Every time you move, I'm just going to put 8, 10 Adepts into your mineral line. The worse it is for our for our French Terran player, the little corporal himself. But CLEM, he does continue to build a good army. He now has a couple Liberators done. He is at 1-1 now. His opponent only at +1. That being said, though, Charge is just about done. And Charge is where these pushes tend to die. There's a whole style of play around minimal gas. And just getting out 8 or 9 gateways, getting Charge, and just going from there, swarming the Terran with just tons and tons of charge slots. And now CLEM, I mean, you make no mistake about it, he is all in here. We see no idea about a 3rd base on the way. This is not a +1 stim combat shield timing that you take the 3rd as you move out. No, this is CLEM as committed as he ever is going to be. Moving now out across the map, and once again, it looks like the Phoenix are on their way to the other side of the map at this point, but the whole point here is the push from CLEM. It is on its way in. Now, the Phoenix, they're incredibly good defensive options. They can just lift up all the tanks as soon as we see a siege up here, and now we do have the Adepts looking to move on in. Tanks now are going to siege up. Adepts will get on top of all these tanks, and now we have the lifts. We have Trap swarming on in here into this entire army, and yet CLEM, he's taking the fight, the best fight he can possibly can, but I worry that it is not enough as his army supply is falling through the floor. Trap, he's going to take game number 2. And with that, Trap, he has a 2-0 lead in this semifinals. He's 1 game away from a date with Destiny in the finals, a date for a chance at consecutive Protoss victories in a premier tournament. Well, for the first time in a long time, let's just put it that way. But our players, they're loaded into game number 3. Although I guess technically this is a replay, so always they're loaded into game 3. More importantly, I'm loaded into game 3. Let's get on into it. And here we are, spawning in the upper left. In the blue for the Afrika Freaks. Give it up for Trap. And his opponent in the bottom right. In the red, representing Team Liquid. He's the little corporal. He's CLEM. So CLEM, his back is against the wall here in this game number 2. He is down 2 games to 0 against the scariest Protoss that we've seen in the last year. There was an argument to be made for Stats being the best Korean Protoss up until the point that Trap smashed him in the GSL Super Tournament. Trap has had more second place finishes than just about anyone. He has fallen to Raynor, he has fallen to Cyril, he has fallen to so many of these players in this end of the season tournaments. And CLEM, for his part in this game number 3, he says, you know what? My macro builds have not really worked out. Trap's just done a little bit too much. what if I proxy barracks? And this is a really interesting proxy location, by the way. It's not all that close to trap space. So this will be a proxy Reaper. I think we're probably just going to see 2 Reapers head on over here for CLEM, and then he's just going to float back. This, functionally, this is just kind of a Reaper expand opening. Just we see the barracks is halfway across the map, which means that sure, if there's a little bit of aggression, and I stand corrected. Never mind. We have a factory being proxied as well, and well, now Trap is aware of this too. He knows the timings. He says, hey, look, I don't see a factory in the main base here of CLEM. I see that second gas going down. Something's up. And CLEM, actually, he will build a Marine as the first unit out of this barracks, and he's going to send it home just to deny the scouting of Trap. He says, this is a bit annoying here. I don't want Trap to know what I'm up to. And there was almost a really meta play, a really meta game play, where CLEM could have just kept building his buildings on the other side of the map, stopped mining from that gas after he kills the probe, and just go on into an expand build. Even, you know, take us expand somewhere else and kind of go back, and just really convince Trap that he's doing something super all in. And of course, it's just an expand build. It's just a Reaper expand or whatever coming on in behind there. But now we do have Trap's hodgepodge army. 1 Zealot, 1 Stalker finding its way to the other side of the map. And this is actually really scary for CLEM. It's only 2 units here from the Protoss player, but you gotta remember, there is 1 Marine on the map. And with 1 Marine on the map here, yes, there's a full wall, but a single Stalker beats a Marine. A single Zealot, unless the Marine micros well, beats the Marine. So all of that is incredibly difficult to deal with, but it looks like Trap, he's also aware of this potential for like a sneaky third, something like that. So we're just going to have the units moving their way across the map here, and we have... Oh, this actually... So this is a build we first saw Cure do in the King of Battles online qualifier when he smashed Zest on his way to qualifying for that tournament. It was a Korean qualifier there. This is a 1-base... burrowed Widowmine, hidden Widowmine push with a bunch of Hellions that will eventually turn on into Hellbats. As the Hellions first go on, they get 3 workers immediately, and now Trap already maybe not the best economic position. I mean, he's fine, he's okay, but you gotta remember the Protoss wants to be ahead of the Terran in workers. That's what Chrono means. That is how this game is supposed to go. So without that, well, it becomes a little bit problematic, because now we do have the factory is going home. We're not going to see continued pressure, but now Widowmines, they're going to go on in, and they're going to burrow. So we do have an observer on the way out here. Trap, he's going to try to target these down, and is he not going to get the good splits? He will get the decent splits here. Hellion is now running on in into the natural. A couple more workers to go down. We've had 7 go down already. And oh, this is maybe oh, look at this micro here from CLEM. He's getting a lot more than he would possibly ever have an opportunity to do. But the Stalkers, the Zealot, they found their way on into the main base here of CLEM, and this is where things get a little dicey. It's only 4 Marines on the map, 4 Marines versus 4 Stalkers. I can tell you without a doubt who wins that fight. But what we gotta be looking for here is just how many, or I should say, whether Trap was able to remove those Widowmines. It looks like he was with the Observer coming out. 7 workers have died, and this is just a little bit of punch and counterpunch here for Trap in this game number 3. That being said, though, CLEM, he realizes that he pretty much has the hold at this point. He has a tank out. His command center will finish. And he's going to be okay from here. I'm kind of disappointed we don't see the follow-on Hellbat attack. That was a really cool follow-up from Trap, or from the build Cure did against us, but that was also not a proxied factory. So, and he was able to keep his Hellions alive a little bit more as well. Also, it should be noted that CLEM does not play for Rocket. This is just an observer bug. CLEM, I do miss Rocket as a team. I do miss the times when we had more and more teams in StarCraft. But this is just a WCS game heart bug. Not much we can do about it. CLEM does, in fact, play for Liquid. It's just how the things have turned up, for better or worse. Not exactly sure why that's the case, but so it goes. But now we do have charge on the way here, +1 armor on the way here from Trap, so he will commit really heavily to this Zealot based style coming on in here, and that makes a lot of sense. Clem, he has shown a penchant for really aggressive openings. And when that is the case, when you're looking here and you say, hey, my opponent, he likes to move across the map, he likes to hit me with things, well, that Zealot build, when you just get a lot of gateways, you get Zealots, you get +1 armor to just make the Zealots tanky as anything. That works really, really well against these builds that Clem has been trying to go for, but Clem, he has a scary army right now. There is no blink for trap. He's not going to get a ton done with these Stalkers, although if he can knock a tank off, that's going to be really nice for him. And Clem is making this push, of course, before Stim is done. So this is just going to be a Liberator tank siege up right outside the natural here, as one Stalker will go down immediately. Charge is not done yet, so now the tanks will siege up here. We have a Liberator siege up as well, and this is getting a little bit scary here for Trap. This is a hard hold to make. Yes, he does have shield batteries, but now we have the leapfrog coming on in, and the tanks firing away at the production here of Trap. Tanks in range of the army for the moment, but the shield battery will expend pretty much all of its energy, making sure that well, the army's back to full health, and now the shield battery will find itself dead and gone. Ooh, and this is actually really important here. The tanks are within range of this Templar Archives. No more Archons here for Trap in this game, at least for the little bit, as we have a full 180 surround coming on in from Trap here as he looks to take the fight. Now, Trap has enough army. He will be able to remove this for the moment, but the question is at what cost here, as an Immortal goes down, and actually, wow, yeah, Trap will be able to take that fight on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side too. But he gets an Immortal. Or I should say, Clem gets an Immortal. He gets the Templar Archives. He gets a Gateway. He gets a gas. Pretty good damage here for the French Terran from Team Liquid. And now Trap, he wants to do a little bit of counterpunch of his own here. He says, look, I cleaned up the army. That should allow me to go on and get some damage done. And maybe he's going to be right. Maybe he's going to be right. Actually, he will not make that decision at all, as he's just going to go take his third base. Okay. So we have a Warp Prism moving across the map here. As Clem looks to shore up his defenses. We do have Stim is done, but now we have combat shields on the way. We have concussive shells on the way. Clem, he's taking his third base finally. Funnily enough, I think this is the fastest that Clem has taken the third base in this series. I don't think he took a third base in the previous 2 games, and if he did, it was certainly very late. And now Clem, oh no, Trap is hitting the perfect timing here. Clem, he's moving across the map with his entire army, and now we have Zealots getting dropped on into the main base. These have +1 armor. They have charge, and they will just eviscerate this mineral line. Clem, he's either going to be forced to commit hardcore or go back, and now we do have the SCVs have been pulled. Marines, the rally is maybe going to be enough to deal with this, but again, these are +1 Zealots. They are pretty chonky boys. And Clem realizes, hey, you know what? You spent that on the attack in front. Well, you don't have much. You probably don't have much of your third. So now we have the siege up here on the third base. Clem, he's got Stim. He's got combat shields. This third base will be forced to get canceled, but so will Clem's third. 2 bases versus 2 bases 10 minutes into the game. When was the last time you saw that happen? So now we have Trap attempting his third once again. This time in the 4th base position, but again, the third base, the linear third and the triangular third. What is that 1 High Templar for? That is a really interesting proposition, actually. So 1 High Templar getting warped in here. Is he worried about a Raven, maybe? Is this some attempt to feed back a Raven? Or was that just a mistaken warp in? I'm not really sure. Do we have Storm? Oh, never mind. That's why. Storm is on the map, so this is going to be a Storm drop with a bunch of Zealots coming on in after that to clean up the wounded SCVs. So that's actually a really cool move. I was having this conversation with a friend. Oh, 7 workers do go. Nice Widowmine drop there from Trap. 7 workers do go down, and Trap's just not mining from the main base for quite a bit now. Anyway, so I was having this conversation with a friend. I'm like, why don't we see Storm drops anymore? And realistically, it's because Storm drops are just so expensive. And oh no, the Widowmine. It's getting prepared to go off again, and it will time out before the before things go off. But now the Storm on Clem's army here is going to be really big, but now the tanks have sieged up. Widowmines go off, and Trap's going to lose a lot. But now we do have that Storm in the main base, 5 workers do go down immediately, and oh, Clem is going to get on top of this Immortal. Clem, he's caught in the army of Trap looking. The storm is going to go off, but it's not going to be enough. All the High Templar go down, and yes, Clem, he lost 8 workers in the main base. The Zealots are still doing good work, and that storm drop is going to be incredible as, well, it's kicking off on every part of the map here. Clem, he's doing what he can to fight back, but these DTs, or these Zealots, are doing so much work. That one High Templar with the couple storms in the storm drop has done so much work here for Trap in this game. But we're roughly equal at this point. Roughly equal from an economic perspective, but look at the army supply gap here. Clem tripling the army supply of Trap here in this game number 3. And that's a problem here for Trap. Now, we do have a storm coming on out here. Will not land all that great. And the tanks that force the siege without bio support, so the tanks will go down immediately. But there is only one storm left with this army for the moment. Trap, he needs these storms to land. These need to be the best storms that he has landed if he is to have a chance, a hope at holding in this game. The question is whether he will be able to land it. It looks like we have 2, maybe 3 storms in the army now of Trap here, and Clem, he's gonna push on forward here, looking to find his life back on into this series. Now the Widowmines go forward. These Widowmines are going to be really, really good. And now Trap, he's gonna lose his entire buffer here, all the Zealots that exist to make it so that Trap does not take damage on his main units, and the drop as well. 9 more workers do go down. Drop on the third base. Trap, he's not paying attention. At the last second, he is. 10 more workers, or 10 workers have gone down, and Trap, he is, one of his High Templars going to go down as well. Clem in a dominant position here in this game number 3. The storm's not really going to land. The second one's going to whiff as well. And now Clem, he is stimming on in here. No shield batteries left at the third base. Now we have an overcharge. And maybe that is what Trap is going to need as he is looking to hold his chance for a 3-0 clean sweep on into the finals. But it does not look likely. Clem now up 40 army supply in this game number 3, stimming on into the natural. He has found the pole position. Now the Templar Archives is down. No more storms here for Trap in this game. And what can Clem do? What can Trap do to hold himself here? Well, we don't know. As we're going to reset for the moment. Clem, he's done enough. He thinks he has done enough here. He has knocked out the Templar Archives. He has made it so that there are only 0 actually High Templar on the map. No more storms. The only thing that he is scared of in this game are now gone. No more Archons as well. And actually, this is the second time that Clem has killed off a Templar Archives in this game. That's a bit of an annoying situation for Trap. Now Clem, he's expanding. He's expanding his tech lead in this game. A Ghost Academy is now done. We should see enhanced shockwave sooner rather than later. And another Widowmine drop coming on in. Trap, though, he's quick on the pull this time. And actually, he's look at that. The Hallucinated Phoenix not going to be able to tank the shot. Nice idea from Trap, but just was not able to move his sentry out in time. Clem's going to scan, though. He says, okay, there's no 4th base here. I am not all that worried. Now, Trap will have +2 armor. So he's going to have upgrade parity for like the next 10 seconds, next 15 seconds. But then it's going to be 2-1 for Clem. He's going to have an incredibly powerful army, doubling the army supply of his opponent. And it's got better upgrades. And it has ghosts. And it has Widowmines. And we're just lacking in that whole storm idea, that thing that Trap really needs if he's going to have a good position in this game. So now we have +1 attack on the way. Blink is on the way here. Trap looking to establish his, looking to progress his tech path a little bit more. Okay, we have 2 storms on the map and in a Warp Prism because Trap, I believe, is aware of the fact that there are ghosts on the map here. But now we do have Clem taking up this position on the 4th base. Should Trap actually ever have a 4th base, which he does not in this game, whether he's even going to have the opportunity to, well, that's the question of the day, as we do have a Zealot run by moving on into the 3rd base of Clem. We'll keep an eye on just about how much the damage is going to get done. Looks like none at all. And now Clem, he says, look, the run by didn't really work. Now it's my time. The EMP is going to land on top of all of the sentries. That's going to be really nice. And of course, there are 2 storms in this Warp Prism. That is something that Clem absolutely has to be afraid of. We're going to see how quick his EMP fingers are. And now the storm, that is a massive storm. Second one not going to be quite as good, but still going to be damn good as the storms will land. But now, the fight is not happening as the storms do land. So the Medivacs will be able to heal up most of this. And now Clem, he's taking the fight forward. Only up 30 army supply this time, not the 50 that he had a little bit ago. Trap is doing a good job of trying to build his way back into this game. But Clem, he's got 4 bases. Clem. Wow. He's in a really good spot. As these Stalkers are looking to try to remove these Widow Mines. Clem's going to cycle around, though. Defend the Widow Mines. And now the Storm's going to go on in, and it's not going to be all that great. And now with the Liberators sieging up here, we have one last Storm. That's going to be a lot better here. And now Trap, he's looking to take the fight. He says, look, this is my last chance. This is what I need to do. But I'm not convinced that he has what he needs. As now Clem, he's going to stem on forward. One Immortal does go down. EMP's landing on top of everything. There's only one Archon left, a couple of Immortals. And Clem, it looks like he has the army that he needs. This Storm will be incredible. Clem, he's just going to sit in it for the moment. He's going to bathe in the electric blood of his enemies. And now Trap, he's looking to make this hold one last time. One last time for glory. One last time for fame. But Clem, the rally is moving forward. It's a bunch of Immortals. It's a couple Ghosts. And with these Widow Mines brewing on in, Trap really cannot take the fight that he is looking for here. And Clem, he stems forward once again. We do have a Shield Battery Overcharge this time, but there is too much damage in this Terran army, even for a Shield Battery Overcharge. That EMP is going to land with significant force. Another Immortal goes down. There's only one Archon left on the map here. 44 army supply to 103. Trap, unwilling to admit the fact that he has lost in this game, but it's okay. He still has 2 more opportunities. But Trap, he is out of this game. And Clem has an opportunity to come back in this series. Clem takes game number 3. What a game. What a game from Clem in that game 3. He's found his way back into the series. Through really some incredible Widow Mine drops was the big story of that game. And I, for one, that was a fun game to cast. That was a fun game to watch. And oh, that must have been a fun game to play. Clem really finding himself in a good position in that 3rd game with his life on the line. Well, he certainly fought back. But we do have game number 4. It's all loaded up. It's ready to go. Let's get on into it. And here we are spawning in the bottom right. In the red. His life still on the line, but with a map to his name for Team Liquid. He's Clem. And in the upper left, in the blue, on match point, 1 game away from the finals for the Afrika Freaks. He's Trap. And the question here is, what are we going to see in this game? Clem, his aggression really didn't get a whole lot done with that proxy build. That was not the reason why Clem won that game. It really was his Widow Mine drops on in the mid-game that just continued to get damage done. The damage in drips and drabs that forced Trap to not have this just tremendous economic advantage that we saw in other games here. So now we do have Trap. He's going on in. This, of course, is just a scout. We're not going to see anything too crazy here. Trap is going for a single gate expand once again, and we're not going to see anything too crazy in the early game for either of these players. Now, of course, Cash the Curse is a thing, and the minute I say that, we're probably going to see Clem, drop 3 barracks on the other side of the map and go to town. But realistically, that's not really going to happen, as we do have a Reaper expand build coming on in here. Clem looking to take his natural at a relatively decent timing, and that makes sense for the map. Romanticide, it's a rather easy to defend map, kind of like Death Aura. As now Clem here, he just wants to take his natural, but Trap says no, no, no. Have probe will deny base, but now Clem will be able to put that probe out of the way. And we move on. Natural now on the way here for Clem. As Trap, well, he gets on into his build. And the question we must ask ourselves next is this going to be a Stargate build? Is Trap going to go for something like that? Or is it just going to be a Twilight opener like we have seen so often? And this is... I was going to say this is interesting, but this just makes a lot of sense. We do have a shield battery on the way in the main base here of Trap, and what this means is he's going to look to move across the map with his first adept, with his first 2 adepts. Because he doesn't want to, he wants to be able to deny this command center. He wants to be able to deny this bunker. But Clem, he's aware of Trap's proclivities for this. He's aware of the fact that this is a high likelihood, so his Reaper is running back. He is going to build 2 Marines. Actually, even, yeah, 2 Marines before he builds his reactor. The bunker is closer to being done than not done. And with these 2 Marines, this should maybe be enough to delay the adept for just the period of time that Trap, or that Clem needs to make sure that he does not have his command center delayed. And there the bunker's going to go down. And now the Reaper is trying to fight the Adept, but the Adept did not take enough damage for that Reaper to take that fight. And now we do have 2 Adepts on their way across the map, and this will be, well, a Blink opener, DT opener, something like that. Certainly the Twilight opener that we saw in game number 1, as now the Adepts will shade their way on into the natural here, go right on past the bunker, and now there's just no mining possible from the bunker for the time being. Of course, it does take 3 Adept shots to kill a SCV, so these 2 Adepts won't kill any SCVs for the moment. But that does not mean it's impossible. Now we do have the Reaper. He's going to find his way on into the natural, and there's no shield batter here in the natural. So CLEM making the best out of a bad situation. And he will be able to severely diminish the mining from Trap for the time being. Now the Adepts will be able to get out as well. And with the Stalker out here, this Reaper can't do much more. So where are we at the end of the day? 2 probes have died. 1 SCV, 1 Marine have died. Good trade for CLEM. And now we have a 3rd command center on the way. I think this is a build I've seen Beyond do pretty often. This is a rather greedy build from the Terran player, going for 3 command center before anything else, really. The style of the day, really, when we look at PvT or TVP, is kind of this 6-minute, 7-minute, +1 stim combat shield timing. You take a 3rd base there. That is the build you see, at least in the games I've cast, far more than anything else. But CLEM, he's going for the greedy build, the macro build. The build that takes him on into the mid-game with a bit of a economic lead, should he be able to pull it off, as not the Reaper will get targeted down. And this will be the Blink opener from Trap. Blink into an immediate Colossus, which means it's not going to be that aggressive. That being said, though, Trap did take a later 3rd. This 3rd went down at 430, not at 350. And with this Blink build, you can take your 3rd really early, especially if you're going into quick Colossus behind it. So how many gates do we have? We have 3 gateways on the way. Trap may be looking to get a little bit aggressive here with his Stalkers. He doesn't have to. This is not 4-gate Blink. This is not the, oh my, I really need to get some damage done build. But he does have the opportunity with 3-gate Blink, seeing the fact that CLEM has decided to go for this early command center. But the Observer will go down in exchange for that trade. But no, Trap. He says, you know what? If you're going to be a greedy CLEM, so will I. 2 Forges are going down. Colossus on the way. Colossus range on the way. Charges on the way. And Trap, he's just getting on into his mid-game full-on power here. Just taking full advantage of the opportunity that CLEM has given him to not have to worry about defending against anything too aggressive. And an unfettered Protoss is a scary Protoss. Alright, so now +1 on the way. Well, 1-1, excuse me, on the way here for Trap. Charge just about done. Charge, of course, is an extremely fast upgrade to get, especially if you pump some chronos into it. Extended Thermal Lance just about halfway done. And we see no inkling from CLEM just, although does he still have his bunker? He does not. So CLEM may be getting ready to get a little bit of a push out here, but on the flip side, he just doesn't feel like he needs the bunker anymore. But now we have a bunker in a bit more of a catch-all position. This bunker will allow CLEM to defend his 3rd base and his natural, but CLEM, he's going to scan these. He says, okay, Trap is fully saturated on his 3rd base. Interestingly enough, though, he's only just now getting his gases. That maybe means that I have to worry about some sort of charge lot attack. But you and I both know that that is not what Trap is going for here. Charge is only just now completed. Trap is going for 1-1, Mass Colossus. He is just macroing and macroing, powering up here into this game. As CLEM will find a couple of these units around, but he says, okay, there's nothing really behind this. I'm going to be A-okay. The Scouting Marines will do their job. And we go onwards. Now CLEM will find a little bit of the army. He says, okay, charge is done. He doesn't know exactly when that charge completes. He may actually have a good idea. I mean, these are pro players. They have an encyclopedia of builds in their head. So, seeing the number of workers at the 3rd, seeing where the gas situation is, CLEM may very well say, oh yeah, I know exactly what this build is. But it's interesting watching how this game goes, because this is the most passive I've seen CLEM play in a game in a good bit of time. And there we go. So Trap, he's just capitalizing on this. We have Warp Prism speed now on the way, +2 attack. We're going to see 2-2 from Trap in a second. Both players getting ready to take their 4ths. And I guess this is just no rush, what used to be no rush 20, but I guess no rush 10 in this game. CLEM is building an army. Trap is building an army. CLEM does have a really nice army supply lead. Granted, though, he has no Vikings, and that's 3 Colossus. You kind of want Vikings. Or at the very least, more tanks than CLEM does have. Now, Trap he's posturing outside of his 4th base. I don't know if this is his, well, he may be looking to get aggressive with his army. But this may also be just a spring cleaning operation. Wants to make sure that he is able to remove all the rocks that make it more difficult for him to defend an attack. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to take some rocks down. As, well, Trap's just getting ready to get aggressive. To start with some drop is CLEM. He's now moving out with some army as well. Both players have said, you know, it's not quite no rush 10, but it is no rush 8.5. As now we do have CLEM. He's trying to take this fight, and Trap says, no, this is not your fight. Run away, please. And CLEM, he's gonna take the hint. But CLEM now also is aware of the army that Trap has, and oh man, one thing we didn't talk about, Trap. He's just got about, he is 2-2 on the way. CLEM +1 armor is only just now complete, so this is the big deal here when we look at this game state. When we look at upgrades, Trap is potentially going to be 3 upgrades on CLEM. At the very least, he will be 2 upgrades on CLEM for this next fight on relatively equal army supply. And charge lots when they're up 2 upgrades, they absolutely slap. And this is, oh, look at that move from Trap. He's gonna, CLEM's army not in hold position will be lured into the meat grinder that are 3 Colossus, and now we have a massive warp in coming on into the main base here. Lots of chargelets. 2-2 is just about done, but right now they're still 1-1 chargelets, and they still have an upgrade lead. So now we have a planetary on the way here. CLEM will be able to get on top of this warp prism, and will not take too much damage from this army. And actually, CLEM, with his tanks here, he's going to hold the 4th base for the moment pretty well as well. As was that a recall? Alright, so now CLEM, he's going to find the army, or I guess the better way to say that is Trap will find his army, as once again, these force fields are just going to be dynamite, as more and more of CLEM's army just gets shredded by the triple-pronged Colossus force here. As we see this CLEM, he's lost 1,200 more resources than his opponent in a relatively passive game. So this is not game-ending damage yet, but Trap is 3-3 on the way. CLEM's got +2 attack. That does not, and if Trap actually hits his Chronos properly, this is going to be a 4 upgrade lead. This is one of those games where the Terran army, he's up an army supply, but it doesn't really matter if you're 4 upgrades behind. As now Trap, he's finding an alternate position to attack into. CLEM will siege up though, and with these tanks here, it's going to be rather difficult for Trap to really take the engagement he's looking for. But now with these disruptors coming on in, disruptor shots are going to go off. CLEM, he's got a micro backwards, not going to lose too much to the first disruptor, and he will lose the bunker though. So this push from Trap is rapidly getting decently scary. But now CLEM, he says, okay, well, your army's on that left-hand side. Time for me to get a bit aggressive on my own. Trap, though, he's got a double expand on the way here. He should, yeah, he will lose this army, and he will be forced home here. But CLEM, actually, this is a really big piece of army here. So if Trap does not get it in time, okay, he will get back in time. I should say, Trap has the chance to lose that 4th base, but there's just enough army there. And that disruptor shot, suddenly CLEM's army, it's not all that scary. Stalkers will blink forward. We're going to see some medevacs go down. Charge also getting on top of things. And yeah, some of the Stalkers are dying. Oh, CLEM actually going to do a really good job. He will be able to target down one of those disruptors, but not worth. Not worth. CLEM, for the first time, is falling behind in the army supply count in this game. Trap, he's up 2 upgrades, soon to be up 3 upgrades. These disruptors are going to go off. Nothing's going to go down, though, but that tank will be softened up pretty severely. And now, CLEM, he's on 4 bases. Trap is on 6. Trap has, Trap has +3 just about done. Trap is going to be benefiting from a 3 upgrade lead in this game, and I believe it will actually get to it's going to stay about a 3 upgrade lead. Now CLEM's going to step forward. This disruptor will go down. Nice little move there from CLEM, but now Trap says, okay, it's time for me to take this fight, as disruptor shots will go off on so many of these tanks, and this is a full 360-degree surround. CLEM's army, it's falling apart. It's back into the Stone Ages here. These EMPs will be rather nice, but Warp Prism will save the day, and now CLEM, his army supply, he's down 10-15 army supply instead of being up like he would have preferred to be, like he was for most of this game. That was his saving grace. SC is down upgrades, but now this is a 3 upgrade lead. Trap's army, Trap Stalkers, they're going to blink forward. The Colossus, they have been untouched this entire game. And now Trap, he's up 30 army supply, and he is just an indomitable force here. Everything's going to go forward. The tanks are going to go down. That one stalwart defense of CLEM is now falling into the earth, falling apart here. And CLEM, he's looking to make a defense. SCVs are going to get pulled from every angle, but I don't think that's going to work. These are Archons, these are Disruptors, these are Colossi on the field. And yes, CLEM may be able to clean this up. Not even Trap. He's going to take game number 4. He's going to take the series. He's going to move on to the finals.